Hello, and welcome again to Ask a Theorist.
Or two. Bobby from Vermont wants to know, why do some worship songs beg to be sung along with, while others are very difficult to engage with?
Why do we sing along sometimes?
Sometimes. So I also have often wondered that question, whether it's a song that I personally wrote or a song that I thought maybe my congregation would like as a worship leader.
Yeah. They might say, no, it's fine.
But they didn't participate with it. I think there are two ways that you can learn whether a congregation is going to engage with a song. One is you introduce it, and trial and error tells you. The second, which is perhaps more of a theory way, is what if we look at all of the songs from the past 300 years
let's do
of Christian hymnody, all songs that were designed to be sung by the congregation, they were written for the congregation. We'll call them contemporary Christian songs.
Because everything was contemporary.
Everything used to be contemporary.
Written. Yes.
We have examined over 200 of these successful songs, and there appear to be some traits that appear regardless of the genre or era in which it was written. Across all of those song styles, there are 5 basic reasons we sing along.
Okay.
Are you ready? Here's number 1. Pentatonic pitch sets.
Oh, but you would have guessed that, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
Amazing Grace happens to be exclusively a pentatonic tune, the tune of New Britain, if you will.
I will.
But primarily pentatonic pitches.
So if we're looking for a good children's song, we're going to sing minor third, that's scale degree 5 and 3, 6, 5, 3, because it's easier to sing those. So if you're going to write a good children's song that's really going to last, write Jesus Loves Me, which is all pentatonic scale.
That's correct. And if you want to make it an adult version, then you just throw in an occasional scale degree 7 or 4. And for the most part, people are able to sing along. Quality number 2 is they have to have a reasonably fast tempo range. By reasonably fast, I'm not saying the song is fast, but there is a natural speech declamation rate.
Yes, right.
Right? Like, if I start to talk too slow,
I'm bored with that sentence right there. Yeah.
And so, one of those worship songs that it just takes a long time. There's like a lot of melismas. Like the song tempo might have been fast, but if the words move by too slow, people are bored with it.
You found that there's a very specific tempo range, and I was intrigued by that because I do know, like, while we're singing sometimes, we sway, and there's only a certain speed with which we feel like we can do that. Left, right, left. I'm sort of doing this, and if it's going too fast, I can't.
That's right. So there's actually a natural tempo that different scholars have discovered. Researchers have found that the natural tempo, like if I were to ask you, if you were to start tapping a tempo on your desk right now, just any tempo, just start tapping. Your tempo is going to end up somewhere between 80 and 100 beats per minute. So there's a natural, spontaneous tempo that occurs all through nature, and if your song doesn't adhere to that, then people will not sing along.
Isn't that amazing?
The third quality is having a very straightforward rhythm.
Straightforward rhythm.
Straightforward rhythm. By that, the bridge of What a Beautiful Name It Is actually is mostly on the upbeats, right? You have no rival. Like, it's mostly on the upbeats. Yet it's not syncopated, right?
If you look at the printed music, it looks like all these 16th notes and tied over the beat and so forth, and it looks just incredibly complex. But in truth, it's kind of how we would say it.
Yeah, it actually flows with the regular way that speech flows. Hymns are very straightforward. They're just
Mhm.
quarter notes for the most part. That's not the way that you would say that phrase, but it was predictable, right? So it had a straightforward rhythm. Modern music, it's a little bit more like the way that we would say it.
Most of us wouldn't even notice it being syncopated. We'd just say,
Right.
that sounds less stilted.
Characteristic number 4
4?
that marks
We're
a
to 4 already?
singable song is having a limited tessitura.
Yes.
Now, tessitura, of course, is one of those music theory words. Not saying range, but saying like where it lives. Like for the most part, this song is between here and here. The limited tessitura, of course, is difficult when you're writing for an entire congregation because you're writing both for men and women. Basically, what you're doing is you're cutting off the extremes and you're bringing it all into the middle. Having surveyed hymns, gospel songs, and contemporary songs, the average range goes from D3 to D4. So an octave is the average range, and it's usually written from the D below middle C to the D above middle C. Ladies are typically going to sing that an octave higher, and then guys are going to sing it in that range.
Magadizing.
That's unfortunate that they call it that.
Yes.
Let's be very aware. If you want people to sing along, you've got to put it in a key that they can sing it in. The fifth and final aspect of a worship song that people will engage with is having a significant amount of repetition.
The significant amount of repetition.
So significant amount of repetition looks different depending on which era you wrote it in. If you were writing a hymn in strophic form, you just write 4 verses and the tune goes by the same way. But each line of that tune might be A prime, B, A prime.
Very likely. So you really got 2 significantly different ideas.
Right. And then you're repeating those over 4 different times, which means this idea, and this idea, you're singing 12 times by the end of the hymn. In fact, that's such a common form of writing melodies that it's actually abbreviated. We call it song form. So that's how you create a significant amount of repetition in an older song. In a modern song, we do sort of the same thing, but it's even more to a smaller extent. So instead of a whole phrase, it might just be a motive, a 3 to 5 note phrase that gets repeated.
So all I see on the screen are a different set of words.
That's right.
I don't know why, but I already know how to sing it.
Correct.
So it's not really about the repetition, it's about the predictability.
Yes.
Without being boring. Like there could be too much repetition, in which case it became an earworm, but I don't want to sing it anymore,
Yeah, if we could sum up all 5 of these points, we'd say it all has to do with predictability. So the more that you can predict the way that the melody is going to unfold, the rhythm, the range, it fits into a set of norms which you have subconsciously created. And when the song adheres to those expectations, you end up being able to sing along, and that evokes a positive feeling.
So that's why we sing along. Thank you, Wally from Walla Walla, Washington, for asking that question.
If you have a question you'd like us to respond to, we really encourage you, go ahead and write that in the comments down below. And future video, we will address the questions that we think are actually interesting.
We would love to talk about music theory, because that's what we do.
Click the subscribe button so you can stay up to date with all the latest videos, and we'll be back with Ask a Theorist
or two.